What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, you guys, welcome back to another edition of Gotta Love Them Movies. I'm your host, Mike Brown. This is just your daily dose of movie news. Let me turn my volume down a little bit. I feel like I'm screaming in my own ears. Guys, thanks so much for coming. Thanks so much for being a part of the community. Thanks for joining me here today. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about. But before we get into before we get into your daily dose of movie news, a few things that I want to address. Last week I didn't mean to take the entire week off. I did end up taking the entire week off. I told people I was going to come back on Monday. I didn't come back on Monday. That was yesterday. Today's Tuesday. So last week was a weird, crazy week for me. I've had, I did make kind of an editorial video, not really, kind of, sort of, just explaining it. Last week, I went down to go meet my girlfriend's family. Everyone, got together in Orlando. We're like, why Orlando? But hey, there it was. So while we were down there, we tried to make, the best of the situation. We went to Universal Studios. I ended up going back to the movie theater, saw a couple of movies. And so this is all stuff that I'm going to kind of release later as editorials. My hope, what I had wanted to do was make some videos while I was there. I wanted to kind of take you through the experience of Universal Studios and kind of let you know how we felt about it, what our experience was, and just kind of safety precautions, and same thing with the movie theaters. What was our experience like going back to the theaters and seeing a couple of movies and all that stuff. So all this stuff is coming. This is stuff that I want to address. This is stuff that I want to bring to kind of bring to everybody's attention a little bit and give you a little bit more information than hopefully you had before. So if you decide to go off and do some of these things, you can make the best decision, the best informed decision possible. Especially just based on other people's experiences and stuff like that. So that stuff is coming. Next week is going to be a weird week as well. So, not that I owe anybody, this massive explanation or anything, but I kind of want to let you guys know what's going on a little bit. So, as you know, or as you may know, I have another job working as a flight attendant for a major airline, for a major U.S. carrier. I have been furloughed, technically. However, in this furlough, this is the kind of furlough that I'm still considered an active employee. I still get to fly. I still get to work when I want to work, but I'm restricted in the amount of hours that I'm allowed to work, right? So this whole, plus I still am afforded the opportunity to collect unemployment while I am off pursuing my own pursuits, right? So the whole idea is that being that I'm still allowed to work, but I'm restricted in hours, what I'm going to start doing is starting in November, so I guess next week, I'm going to take the first week of every month so I can go off and I can work my hours, get as many hours as I can for the month, and in terms of flying. I'm going to go off and I'm going to fly for the first week of the month, and I'm not going to do the show. However, for that first week that I'm not doing the show, I'm still going to be putting out some editorial videos. I'm still going to be putting out some movie reviews, just so I still have content coming out on the channel, right? I don't want to leave people hanging. I don't want people thinking that gotta love them movies. I like the content that Mike produces, but it's not regular content and we can't trust when it's coming out. We can't expect when it's coming out. It's kind of haphazard, that sort of thing. I don't want this channel to be, kind of catch where catch can, right? I want to try and produce regular content all the time. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of the stuff that I want to start doing. And then we're going to, go back to I guess Live with Mike. I'm not entirely sure what this entire show is. It's still in its infancy. We're still figuring out what the show is. But the Gotta Love Them movies, movie news, your daily dose of movie news. This is my heart. This is my dream. This is my passion. These are the things that I love doing. I love talking about. I love putting the show together. And speaking of putting the show together, I think we've got some pretty cool things to talk about. Now, like I said, last week we didn't do a show. I had wanted to put some stuff together, do a few editorials. I am really bad at, putting stuff together. If I'm in an amusement park, I'm in the moment. I want to enjoy the amusement park, right? So it's really difficult. It's really hard for me to, be at an amusement park and enjoy the fun. And then, hold on, stop. I need to work. I need to make a few videos. It's annoying to myself, and I know it's definitely annoying to the other people, not around me, but like the people in my group that I'm, traveling with and, having fun with. So yeah, from that perspective, in that regard, it's difficult for me to kind of like drop what I'm doing and go to work, right? I'm going to be coming out with some of these future videos, some of these editorials, but until then, all that stuff, I'm going to pre-prepare. It's all going to come out next week. But right now, I definitely want to, kind of go back to the previous format. Speaking of the previous format, there's a YouTube channel. If you go over to youtube.com and type in Gotta Love Them Movies, you'll see a little red box in the top right-hand corner that says subscribe. Go ahead and click on that button. What clicking on the red subscribe button does is it helps us to widen our subscriber base. But Mike, you say, I'm watching the show on Facebook Live. Why do I have to go over and click on the subscribe button on your YouTube channel? Well, Garrison, I'm very glad that you asked that question. By clicking on the subscribe button, like I said, it helps to widen our subscriber base. And with more subscribers, I begin to qualify for ad revenue. And with ad revenue, I get to make this show my full-time job. So I'd very much appreciate you helping out and supporting the channel, going over to YouTube and clicking that red subscribe button. And of course, as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, this show will be moving from Facebook to YouTube. And in addition, I had kind of brought up previously today in this video, there's a few changes coming. The first week of every month, like I said, I'm going to be doing more editorials, more movie reviews and stuff like that. But additionally, once we start the show live back up again, not next week, but the week after, the second week of November, we are changing the time slot. I've had some pretty good success with this particular time slot. We start at 4 p.m. East Coast time. So another major announcement. I guess we are going to move the time slot. The problem for me is that this show isn't just, for me, it doesn't just go from 4 until 5:30 East Coast time, or 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock East Coast time, depending on the news of the day. After each show, just to kind of give you an insight as to how much preparation goes into creating this show, I do maybe about 2 or 3 hours before the show starts, kind of figuring out what the movie news is, if there's any photos that I want to include. And, we have an email coming in later. And again, emails, like I have to go through the emails and kind of pick out like, oh, we're going to talk about this and we're going to talk about this. And, preparing all this stuff takes a while. So it takes about 2 to 3 hours before every show for me to get each show ready and together. And then we do the show at 4 o'clock. We do the show. The show goes from like 4 until 5:30. At 5:30, once the show is ended, usually we have guests on the show. Today I'm flying solo. But usually, kind of have to wrap up my conversation with my guests. And then I go to my editing chair and I take the entire show that we've just recorded. And you may have noticed if you've been on the YouTube channel, every segment that we talk about throughout the show, I break it up into smaller videos and smaller bite-sized chunks. So, when you go to the YouTube channel, you don't have to watch the entire hour and a half, 2-hour show if you just want to see that small little segment. So I do go through and I break everything up. But that takes time. You have to go through the video and find starting point and ending point, and then render it. upload it, tag each video, and all that takes maybe about an hour and a half to 2 hours after the show. So by the time that my work day ends, I'll start maybe around noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, preparing the show. The show starts at 4, ends at 5:30, and then I'm editing usually up until like 7, sometimes 8 o'clock at night. That's a long day. So starting the second week of November, we're going to start the show much, much earlier. So be on the lookout for that. I'm kind of playing around with the 10 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. If you happen to be in the UK, that's going to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon your time. If you're out in LA, if you're out on the West Coast, Seattle, San Francisco, somewhere, 10 a.m. So it's going to be 7 o'clock in the morning. So, it's still a range. So maybe you wake up with Mike as opposed to just have, like an afternoon, post-work thing. So we are going to change the show. I do need to kind of go earlier so I can get some stuff done. I love this show. It's kind of eating my evening time a little bit. So I want to reverse that a little bit. Anyway, so, I've talked about this for a while, for ad nauseum now. These are just a few things that I want you to be aware of as we move forward. And speaking of moving forward, it is now, it's 4:11. We're now 11 minutes into the show officially. It is now time to move forward and take a little bit of movie news.
What?
All right, you guys, let's go ahead and take a little bit of movie news. And our first bit of movie news, you may have heard that there is a Saved by the Bell reboot happening. If you haven't heard this, guess what? There is a Saved by the Bell reboot happening, and it's not exactly a reboot. It's kind of a sequel. It's kind of a continuation, right? So they don't have the entire main cast. They haven't brought the entire main cast back together, but they have brought the main core group back together. There was some weird stuff that happened with, the actor who played Screech. So anytime that they do some of these reunion shows, Screech is absent, and they don't really talk about him. They don't really bring up that kind of stuff. But in this show, we have Zach, we have Kelly, we have Slater, we have, why can't I think of her name? The caffeine pills, Elizabeth Berkley, she's coming back, reprising Jesse, thank you. So all these characters are coming back. And the trailer, the very first trailer, yes, it's an announcement trailer, but also it's kind of a full-length trailer. Just dropped this morning. So this particular article is coming to us from Variety. And if you kind of scroll through this article a little bit, it's kind of interesting. First of all, they say the old gang is back together again. A new trailer for Peacock's Saved by the Bell offers the first look for Mark Paul Gosselaar and Tiffany Thiessen reprising their roles of Zach Morris, Kelly Kapowski. Let's face it, for much of the audience of this upcoming streaming sitcom, Michael John Higgins' principal Ronald Todman puts it best, I just care about Zach and Kelly. So yeah, John Michael Higgins, very famous, comedic actor, improviser, improv actor, comedic actor. He plays kind of the new principal of Bayside. If you haven't watched the trailer, go watch the trailer. Here are my thoughts about this trailer. It's I don't entirely know who this audience is for. It's not a bad trailer per se. There's a fair amount of nostalgia, but it has no feeling of the original show of Saved by the Bell. If you're looking for kind of like a Saved by the Bell like new chapter, yeah, this is a new chapter, but it doesn't have the same feeling as it did before. When they were in high school, it had that like late 80s, early 90s kind of like fun, silly, breaking the fourth wall kind of feel to it. The college years kind of had that same kind of feeling. It was definitely a different kind of show when they moved into the college years. And now they're, professionals. Elizabeth Berkley playing Jessie. She's the principal of Bayside. Slater, he played by Mario Lopez. He is I guess like the head football coach or like the head sports coach or whatever at Bayside. And Mark Paul Gosselaar as Zach and Tiffany Thiessen as Kelly. I guess. I think he's like the governor of California or something like that, which it begs the question, if you're the governor of California, why is your son still going to Bayside? Okay, I don't know. It's a loophole, but whatever. He's there. But yeah, if anybody saw the Runaways television show, which is a pretty good television show, this trailer has a lot of vibes from like it's that kind of like youthful teen. It's almost kind of a CW kind of thing. I'm not really sure of the tone, because sometimes the tone of this is very serious. Sometimes it breaks the fourth wall. Like they do that Zach Morris timeout move. I'm not entirely sure who the main character of this show is. Is it Zach? Probably not. Is it Mario Lopez? I mean, probably not. Is it some of the kids? Like, there's this, the one character who does like the Zach Morris time. Hang on a second, time out. She does that in the trailer. Is she the main character? And if so, why wasn't she more prominently displayed? Like, I'm not really sure what the story is here. Like I said, this is just an announcement trailer. I guess it's kind of cool. I'll be watching it. It comes out on Peacock, which is a horrible name for a streaming service. But like NBC, Universal, it's their streaming service. So it's coming out on Peacock. Anyway, guys, huge question for you is, did you have a chance to see the new trailer for Saved by the Bell? What did you think of it? Did you think it was a good trailer? Did you think it was a bad trailer? Are you excited for the show? Are you going to watch the show? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. Our next bit of movie news today. There's a small indie film. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you haven't. It's called Spider-Man. Spider-Man. I know, it's a crazy concept, right? It's about this kid who gets bitten on the hand by a radioactive spider, or, depending on what universe you're in, it may be a genetically engineered spider. Who knows? Anyway, so yes, Tom Holland is coming back as Peter Parker in the third Spider-Man MCU films. So the big announcement is that Spider-Man 3 it has already started filming. So I guess yesterday, was it yesterday or a couple of days ago? What day was this particular article posted? So this was posted yesterday. Tom Holland on his Instagram page has, let's see if I can scroll down and find this. Yeah. I'll play the video. The sound isn't going to come through. My apologies. But, Tom Holland is standing on he's on the tarmac, in Atlanta. And he's, talking about like, oh, what, why am I here? Why am I here? Well, he says it's time for Spider-Man 3. Let's go. Like he's really excited about it. I just went into full screen mode there for a second. But yeah, so Tom Holland as, the titular character of Spider-Man is very excited to come back and reprise his role. Not just come back and reprise his role, but filming has started already. Last week or, even 2 weeks ago, there were some rumors that there was some filming going on in Queens under the working title of Serenity Now. All the previous MCU Spider-Man films have kind of used various Seinfeld references as their working title as they're filming. Because, if you're filming a Spider-Man film, you don't want to publicize that this is a Spider-Man film as you're filming it. You're just going to be inundated with so many fans and people on the street, and you're not going to be able to get the shots that you need, So in the first I can't remember all the different Seinfeld references, but anyway, doesn't matter. Serenity Now is the working title in New York for filming Spider-Man 3. So yeah, we were kind of like, is it real? Are they actually doing it? I theorized that they were, the Serenity Now shoot was just trying to get some B-roll. They were just trying to get like some early shots of like various things around Queen so they can insert them wherever they need to insert them. And now just under a week later, it's official. Tom Holland is in Atlanta. He just finished filming the Uncharted movie, another Sony project, Sony Pictures, Sony Columbia, maybe. Anyway, Sony Pictures, they just wrapped on Uncharted, the video game film where he plays Nathan Drake, I believe. And now he's off back in the Spider-Man suit for Spider-Man 3, which means the script has been written. Like, the script is finished. It is finalized. We knew that Doctor Strange is coming into the movie. And, a few weeks ago, it was reported that Jamie Foxx is reprising his role as Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which has massive implications. There's still a few questions around that, but here's the thing, you guys. When news came out, now, I mean, we're talking about a 2-week window. 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, it was announced that Jamie Foxx was reprising his role as Electro. And, there was a little bit of, okay, but is he? And, are they going to write him into the film? Well, guys, I've got news for you. If they've already started filming Spider-Man 3, they've already written Electro's character into the script. Like, it was a done deal. They knew they were going to get, whether it was going to be Jamie Foxx to come back and reprise the role or whatever, they had already decided this was going to happen. Because you can't change the script in only 2 weeks. You can't. Guess what? We've got Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is now in the movie. Oh, good. We can insert him into the movie and it's going to be fun. No, they already planned for this. They already knew that it was going to be Electro. Whether it was going to be the Jamie Foxx Electro, probably. They probably already knew that. They already inserted this character into the script because in 2 weeks they've already started filming. They can't change the script. It's a done deal. So with the Doctor Strange, we know a future film coming up as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, right? So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that movie, which hasn't been filmed yet, at least I don't believe so. I know that they just finished wrapping on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and we'll talk more about that later. But they've wrapped on that. I don't think they've started Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness yet. We know that Benedict Cumberbatch is reprising his role as Doctor Strange in this Spider-Man movie, but the implications of it are huge. We know there's a multiverse because of the future movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We know Jamie Foxx. We know they were planning on getting Jamie Foxx. We didn't know that 2 weeks ago, but when news broke, and now 2 weeks later that they've started filming, we know that they've already planned on having Jamie Foxx come back as Electro for this movie. So there's a lot of things that they've already known about. Obviously, Kevin Feige, he knows, he's planned the whole Marvel MCU out. And we've got a little bit more MCU news coming in this show. So stick around for that. But there's some pretty cool, there's some really intricate. And I think that's the key here, is because back in... was it 2012 when the first Avengers movie came out? Marvel Studios did something that nobody else had ever done before. You create, all these different characters, they all feature in their own movies, and then you bring them all together for a shared cinematic experience. That had never been done before. Ever. And that, like, they risked so much. It was a huge risk to do that. And they, not just did they pull it off, they blew expectations out of the water. It was the most incredible thing ever. And so now, like, all of that was, build up for the, Infinity War and the Infinity Saga and Thanos and, the snapping and, all that stuff. But now that that saga is over, the big question is, what's next? What's next? Well, we know that we have a lot of television shows coming out on Disney Plus. You know, we have WandaVision, we have Loki, we have Falcon and Winter Soldier. Those are the next big projects, immediate projects coming out. We know about the Marvel What If show coming out. We have Hawkeye coming out. You know, we just had casting announcement for She-Hulk. We just had casting announcements for Ms. Marvel. We're going to talk about, you know, another upcoming project coming here pretty soon. There's again, you want to talk about stuff that you've never seen before? We've never seen television crossover with the movies. I mean, technically, I guess, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I guess they technically did that in the Flash television show, where the movie version of the Flash appeared in the television show of the Flash. Okay, yeah, maybe technically they were the first to do it, but they didn't do it well. It wasn't this massive implication of a universe. Like they just kind of inserted it just because, hey, this will be fun. Fans will love to see this, and it was fun. It was kind of fun to see. But it didn't have huge implications. For the first time with Marvel, the MCU, Kevin Feige heading up all of this stuff and combining the movieverse with now a television universe, having creative control over both, there's going to be some huge stuff happening. Big characters interacting with smaller characters and everything in between. So there's some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Big question for you guys is, what do you think of the Spider-Man 3 is now filming? It's official. Tom Holland came out on Instagram and basically shared it with everybody. We know it's not news for Tom Holland to share stuff on Instagram because, you know, he kind of spills the beans all the time. I hypothesize, I feel like this was a sanctioned thing from Marvel, from Disney, because this is not Tom Holland's first outing as a big name character. I have a feeling he probably got the go-ahead from Marvel and from Disney. But anyway, guys, what do you think about it? Are you excited? Are you not excited? Are you somewhere in between? What does all of this mean? Are we going to get a Spider-Man film sooner rather than later? Additionally, there have been reports from Sony executives saying we are going to get a first look at the new Spider-Man movie this December. So in less than 2 months, in under 2 months, we are going to get a first look. I don't know if that's an image. I don't know if that's a teaser trailer. I don't know if that's just going to be the logo. Who knows? Like, what do you guys think that a first look means? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that done and out of the way, it is now time for our third bit of movie news. And our third bit of movie news is coming from our friends over at Screen Rant. And they are reporting that not just a new Power Rangers movie, but a Power Rangers cinematic universe is in the works over at Saban. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that, but Saban Films. And I believe it's Paramount, who is the parent company putting all of this out. I have some feelings about this. So first and foremost, let me preface this by saying I'm not the biggest Power Rangers fan. Power Rangers really started hitting its stride, its popularity, just as I was kind of like entering early teenagerhood, right? So I kind of missed the Power Rangers craze. I got into it at the very beginning. I got some of the toys, some of the Zords I thought were pretty cool. I loved the idea, like that Voltron kind of idea, right? So you have like all these different toys and they all break apart and you get to put them together to create this big, huge monster toy. That is incredibly appealing to me. I always thought that was like one of the coolest things ever. So for that aspect of it, for that perspective, yeah, I'm kind of like Power Rangers a little bit. I tried to watch the TV show. The production value of the original television show, and I would still probably argue, even though I haven't watched them, the production value for the majority of the Power Rangers IP Not very high, right? And, I don't think that that's a stretch of the imagination to say. I think we can all kind of get on board with that idea and say, yeah, production value of the Power Rangers has never been very good, right? So, what do I think about them creating an entire Power Rangers cinematic universe? Combining movies and television shows. We just talked about, the MCU in doing that. Kevin Feige is, taking charge of creating a whole, I guess, cinematic universe within the television realm on Disney Plus, and then combining that with the movie universe that we all have kind of come to call the MCU. So, the Power Rangers doing this, it's not going to be revolutionary, but maybe the way that they go about it could be very revolutionary. I don't think this is a great idea. You guys. No, I say that. I understand that, like, I don't have a huge love for the Power Rangers. I didn't really grow up with them. Like, I was more of a Ninja Turtles guy. Like, that was more my generation. Power Rangers came along a little bit later. And it's not because... I don't feel this way because I don't have a strong affinity for the Power Rangers. I just don't think this is a good idea because they haven't been able to put out, very good movies. I will say, the 2017 film was it was fine. It was good. I liked it enough. The way that they constructed that story, the way that they built it up, I loved, like, the first, 3/4 of it. And then once they introduced the Zords, I was like, okay, this is a little corny. And there's a certain conceit that comes along with that. You have to understand that this is corny. Like, look at Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim are, tiny people, not tiny people, but like average sized people in these massive robots, like kicking and punching monsters. The whole premise, that was the whole premise of Pacific Rim. And the way that they built up to, like, their big monster battles and boss battles and whatever, it was with that specific conceit, right? It's built on that premise. The premise of the Power Rangers is not built on the premise of we average-sized people need to get in these gigantic robots and, punch creatures. That's a major element to the Power Rangers, but that is not the premise of what they're built on. So to have that kind of a conceit, if you're trying to build a story about a group of random teenagers who get called upon with these I guess you could call them supernatural powers. I mean, like, what else are they? Yeah, they're superheroes, but where do they get their powers from? Kind of in a supernatural way, right? So that's the first conceit that you have to get on board with, is here's this group of friends, and if they're not friends, like in the 2017 movie, here's this group of teenagers that need to come together. They need to work together for the benefit of the common goal, I guess. That is the part that is appealing to me. If that is all that Power Rangers were, I think I could get on board with that. But I'll be honest, there is a major ask of the audience to get on board with the fact of, like, okay, here's the first conceit, but now here's the second conceit. Okay, that whole, like, oh, we've just acquired these supernatural superhero powers, and now we have to go off and, oh, there's this alien creature, or like this person from outer space, or whatever from the deep, or this other sort of supernatural power or entity that we need to overcome. We need to work together as a team to overcome this thing. Okay, cool. But now, in order to do that, we have to create these giant robots. And guess what? The giant robots you didn't create, you didn't build. It's not like you had to problem solve. Maybe if they problem solved and they're like, oh, there's this gigantic creature. Well, how do we solve this? Maybe we'll build giant robots, right? Maybe I could get on board with that. But again, that's a big ask of the audience because with most films, with most storytelling things, you have to be able to concede one major thing. Captain America. You have to concede that it's possible for a normal, regular, average, I say normal, an average human or sub-average human being, because that's what Steve Rogers was, a sub-average human being, you have to concede that he can now become a superhero the way that he became a superhero, right? And then he goes off and does his thing and, whatever. In each film of the MCU, not just the MCU, but like every kind of like big story in this way, there's usually one big conceit. If you have more than that, even bigger than that, oof, that's a hard ask. That is a hard ask of your audience. So first and foremost, I don't think that the Power Rangers IP lends itself to dramatic storytelling by design. I just don't think it does. They tried to do that with the 2017 film. In fact, let's look at this little bit of news right here. Well, it's not news; it's old news. But the box office of the 2017 Power Rangers film only made $142 million. Guess what the budget was? $100 million. So they lost money. And I understand what you're saying is that, well, Mike, their budget was 100, but they made 143. That's a profit. Wrong. Anytime that if your budget is $100,000, you have to double your budget for advertising. So now the studio just spent $200 million. And then for all of the movie theaters that played your movie, now you're at 1.5 approximately. Some is more, some is less, but approximately you have to pay your movie theaters, your exhibitors who are showing your movie. So now you're paying 1.5% to all of your movie theaters on average. So now just to break even on a $100 million budget, you have to make $300 million just to break even. So the studio spent way more money on the 2017 Power Rangers film than they got coming back in, right? So they lost money. They lost a lot of money on this venture. So, I can understand. It's a popular IP. It's been going for almost 30 years or maybe more. I think, was it 1991, 1992? Yeah. They've been going for a while, you guys. They've been going for a while. They've been going for maybe 30 plus years, 32 years. We'll just call it 32. They've been going for a long time, you guys. Yeah. I totally got derailed with my own thought process, but so the studio lost money on the movie, on the 2017 movie. They have to be making money on the television shows because they're cheap to make and they're marketed towards kids. And I don't want to sound insensitive or rude or anything, but there's a large part of the children population that if you present something to them in a way that you think that they're going to like, they will watch it. Right? So they're getting a lot of money off the television shows. They're cheap to make. Quality isn't very good, but hey, who cares? They're making money. If you're going to make a movie cinematic universe with a television cinematic universe and combine them, I don't know, maybe it could work, but here's the thing. Let's go back to the Universal Universal Monsters, right? When Universal Studios tried to create their own cinematic universe with their own movie monsters, and this all started with The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise, right? Which was a garbage movie. It was a terrible movie. I remember I bought a ticket to Wonder Woman just so I could support Wonder Woman because I knew The Mummy was going to be terrible. So I bought a ticket to Wonder Woman, but I went in to go see Mummy. I probably shouldn't admit that, but that's what I did, right? The Mummy was terrible. They didn't make a good movie. In order for your cinematic universes to work, you need to make a good movie, that people like. And I think for the most part, people like the 2017 Power Rangers movie. But 2, it needs to make money. If you're not making money, it's called show business, right? Show business. You have to make money off of your projects and properties. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stay in business. You can't make more. So that was the huge problem with the 2017 Power Rangers film. It wasn't a bad movie. I mean, it was towards the end, it was kind of silly, but it wasn't a bad movie. but it didn't make money. It lost money. It lost an incredible amount of money. So, I don't know how they're going to do this. And maybe they'll find a completely fresh way to make this work. I just don't see that happening. Question is for you guys, what do you think about the new Power Rangers cinematic universe combining movies and television shows? Do you think this is a great idea? Is there something that I'm completely overlooking here? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, we have one last bit of movie news to cover before we move on and take some emailed questions. And that bit of movie news is, you may have heard already. I mean, this news I think broke yesterday. Oscar Isaac is currently, I mean, as this article says, he's tapped to play Moon Knight, Mark Spector, in the upcoming Moon Knight series on Disney Plus. You guys, I think this is incredible. I think this is absolutely incredible. Moon Knight is a character I'm not incredibly familiar with. I never really read him in the comics. I've picked up a little bit here and there over the years. But let's go to the article really quick. And here in Deadline, this is what they have to say. They said, with his time in the Star Wars franchise coming to an end, Oscar Isaac sets his sight on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Deadline is hearing that he's in negotiations to star as the title character in Moon Knight, the Marvel and Disney Plus series based on the comic book hero, right? And here's the second bit of news that is pretty exciting. Jeremy Slater, who developed and wrote Netflix's series adaptation of the Umbrella Academy comic books, has been tapped to develop and lead the writing team on the series for the streamer. So this is some pretty cool news here. Yes, first and foremost, Oscar Isaac playing Mark Spector, Moon Knight. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty great. Because he's a great actor. I mean, we know him from a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, first and foremost, Star Wars, playing Poe Dameron. We all loved him playing Poe Dameron. Some of them weren't the best movies, whatever, but we loved Oscar Isaac playing the character, right? Ex Machina. We know him from Ex Machina. We know him from Inside Llewellyn Davis. He has a long career behind him, and he's also probably based, like his caliber of acting, he's the kind of guy, he's going to have a long career ahead of him. And playing Mark Spector, Moon Knight, I think this is pretty cool. I think this is great casting. Again, like I said, I don't know like a ton about the character. Mark Spector, from what I understand, from what I glean, he's a character, he's often equated to Batman, right? He's kind of like the Marvel version of Batman, but not really. So Mark Spector is, he's a human that has multiple personality disorder. He goes, first and foremost, he goes by who he is, Mark Spector. And then sometimes he goes by a cab driver. And then sometimes he goes by a $1 billion playboy, much like Bruce Wayne. And then he also has the Moon Knight character that he also goes by. So seeing, the idea of seeing Oscar Isaac play a character with multiple personality disorder, and there's another version of Moon Knight in the comics as well. Let me go back down to the article for a second. So Moon Knight, aka Mark Spector, is a mercenary who has numerous alter egos: a cab driver, Jake Lockley, and a millionaire playboy, Stephen Grant, in order to better fight the criminal underworld. But later later in the comics, he was established as being a conduit for the Egyptian moon god Khonshu. Most recently, the character was a consultant who dresses in all white and goes by the name Mr. Knight. So that's just a real brief description of the Moon Knight character, and maybe some of the things that we can come to expect from Oscar Isaac playing the character. This comes on the heels of, obviously, Spider-Man is back in development. Not development. They started filming. They've already started filming Spider-Man. We've already had casting announcement for She-Hulk. We've had casting announcement for Ms. Marvel. And when they announced that Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk were, television shows on Disney Plus that were going to happen, they also announced Moon Knight. And, we haven't really heard anything about Moon Knight recently regarding the Disney Plus show. So this I find incredibly exciting. Moon Knight is one of those characters that I've always been really intrigued about, even though I've never really known much about the character. I've been very interested to see what a Moon Knight movie would be like, or in this case, a television show. And you can bet your bottom dollar that with a character with an actor like Oscar Isaac, of course he's going to be in the movies. Of course, all of these characters are going to be in the movies. Why? Here, ask yourself this question: why would Kevin Feige spend so much time and effort in creating, the cinematic version of the MCU, as well as, or rather, let me flip it. Why would he spend so much time creating the television version of the MCU in addition with the movie version of the MCU? Well, guess what? All of these characters are going to come together. I think this is something that we all know and can expect. But come on, guys. The writing is on the wall. You don't get an Oscar Isaac level actor to play Moon Knight if you're not going to bring him into the movies. I mean, the writing's on the wall. We already knew it, but this is that much more confirmation about it. I'm pretty excited about this. I don't really know how the show is going to play out, but the question is for you guys: how excited are you that Oscar Isaac is going to be playing Moon Knight? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, so with all of that down and out of the way, now it's time to go in and take some of your emailed questions. And if you guys want to get an email question on the show, all you have to do is send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com. That's gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com. And, just tell me what's on your mind. Do you have any movie questions? Do you have any television show questions? Is there breaking news that, maybe I haven't heard about yet? Jump down to your email, send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com and let me know what you want to talk about on the show. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show, send me an email as well, and we can probably make that happen. All right, guys, so with all that done and out of the way, it's time to open up the Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag. Right, you guys, on our first email, really our only email of the day, comes to us from a former guest of ours. He's a two-time appearance person on that's a horrible way to introduce it. David K. Jones from Honolulu, Hawaii writes, aloha, Gotta Love Them Movies fam. Well, aloha, David. Thank you for, first of all, thank you for being a guest on the show, and thank you for writing an email. It's always great to have emails that we can, discuss and talk about. So David says, it's time for everyone to get their costumes ready for the big H day. That would be Halloween. Halloween is on Saturday. So in 4 days? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 days. Halloween is in 4 days. What are some of your favorite movie-inspired costumes that you've worn? Bonus points for pictures that people want to see. Well, David, thank you so much for the question. I have had... if you know anything about me, it's that I'm really big into cosplay. Maybe not as big as other professional cosplayers, but I enjoy the process of, picking your character. What is your character? Who's your character going to be? And what are they going to look like? Because what they look like on screen, on television, in the movies, in the comic books, whoever your character is, inevitably, the version that you create yourself is going to look a little bit different from how they look on screen or on the page or whatever. So a big part of it is the adaptation, right? And sometimes we can make a half-hearted effort, and sometimes we can actually do something fun, something cool with it. I'm sorry. I feel like my cat is making noises around somewhere. So if you hear weird noises, that's just my cat running around the room. She's a cat, as cats do. Anyway, guys, so I have put together a list of, I think this is 11 or 12. I didn't actually count them. 12, a whole bunch of some of my favorite costumes that I've put together. At least as many as the photos that I could find. So we're just going to start off with this one. Bane. Bane was a costume that I did, oh geez, I want to say maybe back in 2012? 2013, something like that. Well, let's see. Yeah, it must have been around 2012. That's when Dark Knight Rises came out. So, every now and again, I have a proclivity to shaving my head, if you have not already known. So Bane was a costume. I'm putting it towards the bottom of the list. These aren't specifically ranked. They kind of go from the gradient to like least favorite to most favorite ish. So Bane was a costume that I did just because I could. I didn't actually wear this costume out. This was like a last minute thing. I didn't even know if it was something that I could do. It was more of like I think I had already shaved my head, and my roommate at the time said something like, "You look like you could play Bane." So everybody was doing that voice. So I figured, hey, let's see if I can slap something together. And this is what I came up with. But I never actually went outside with it. So is it a cosplay? Is it a Halloween costume? I don't know. Moving on to our next costume was Gambit from the X-Men. This is not technically a costume. It's just a t-shirt. And I would not have, I wouldn't normally have included it in this list, except that a friend of mine is pictured Artie. She's wearing the Rogue t-shirt. So, I mean, the Rogue and the Gambit t-shirt kind of together, it looks like a coordinated costume. It wasn't. It was just one of those. We went to go, I think X-Men Days of Future Past just came out. We all, like a whole bunch of group friends of ours, we all went to go see the movie together. These were the shirts that we happened to wear, and I thought, wow, Artie, you're wearing, like, this is perfect. It's perfect syncing. We have to take a photo together, and so that was that. So again, it's not an official costume per se, but it was kind of fun. I thought I'd include it. Our next costume, this was my first official cosplay that I ever put together, like, myself. Bob Wiley from What About Bob. Now, as featured here in the photo, you can see that is not me. That is Bill Murray from the movie What About Bob. I don't actually have a head-to-toe photo of myself as Bob Wiley. Like I said, this is my first time doing cosplay all by myself, right? I had done a little bit of cosplay, not much. I had done a little bit of cosplay in years before this, but it was always like group stuff. It was always like group cosplay, and I felt safer. So in this particular setting, this is I think I was going to, this is my first time going to New York Comic Con, and I went all by myself, and I figured, well, if I'm going to Comic Con, I have to cosplay. So I thought it'd be really smart. I thought it'd be really clever if I went as Bob Wiley, Bill Murray's character from What About Bob. And for years, I've been kicking myself. Why did I not take a full body shot, like a photo? I don't know. I wish I had, but I didn't. So this is what we have. Next up, Mr. Rogers. Here I'm pictured with my girlfriend Kim. Again, this is not a cosplay per se, but it is, I guess you could definitely call this a costume. We went off and part of our, there was an improv, Camp Improv Utopia, if you're familiar with it, headed up by Nick Armstrong, actually. So look him up and give them a little bit of support. Everybody, all the campers at Camp Improv Utopia are assigned a different cabin. So the cabin we were assigned to was the Mr. Rogers cabin. So of course we thought, like, well, now we have to dress up as Mr. Rogers. So this is the costumes that we came up with. We have a whole bunch of other photos, but yeah, it was just fun. It was silly. Yeah, it was really cool. I liked it a lot. Next up, Walter White. Oh, Walter White. So again, this was in the heyday of Breaking Bad. My roommate, Josh Hurley, pictured here. He and I decided to go as Breaking Bad's Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. Here I have another photo for you. So yeah, we went out. This was on Halloween Day. I want to say that, again, this was like 2012. I think this was Halloween Day of 2012. So yeah, we just went out. We didn't do much of anything. I think we just went to a diner. And no joke, No joke. This actually happened. There was a guy. Oh man, I really wish that we had taken a photo of this. There was a guy at a booth, maybe like 2 or 3 booths over, and he looked. It was not Giancarlo Esposito, but it looked just like Giancarlo Esposito. So I really wanted the two of us to go over and kind of like take a photo all together. We didn't. I'm kind of sad that we didn't, but anyway, we didn't, and this is what we have. All right, moving on. This was the first cosplay that I ever like built. There's a difference between like assembling the costume pieces and putting things together and then like building a cosplay yourself. And this was a combination of the two. I'll take you through some of the photos. But yeah, Cannonball, or Sam Guthrie from the X-Men, he's always been one of my favorite characters. Of course, everybody loves Wolverine, everybody loves Gambit, and those are some of my favorites as well. But Sam Guthrie, Cannonball from the X-Men, he's always been one of my favorites. I found another guy at New York Comic Con who did like an old school Cannonball costume. So of course we had to, take a photo together. And here I am with another one of my friends, Melissa, who's working the con that particular year. So in this particular costume, I had assembled a few pieces. I bought like a motorcycle like cut. Like a vest, I guess you could call it. And I bought, they were actually like leather, they're leather pants, but I guess they were used for like male strippers. So of course I bought those, because how could you not? So that was the basis for my costume, and everything else, like the gloves I assembled, the C on my chest, I assembled C for Cannonball, and especially the neck piece. That I was very particularly pleased with. If you're familiar with the comics and what Sam Guthrie or Cannonball looks like in the comics, I tried to put this neck piece together, and I was very pleased with it. All right, moving on to our next costume. How many more do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 more costumes to go, you guys. The Punisher from the Defenders. So, this was the first iteration of my cosplay group. I've talked about my cosplay group before in San Diego Comic-Con. I have a few different cosplay groups that we get together now and again. So this was at San Diego Comic-Con. This was a last-minute costume. So the Netflix Defenders was just premiering, right? And at San Diego Comic-Con that particular year, some friends, we had all decided, hey, let's do a last minute, or rather, sorry, they had already planned what their cosplay was going to be, that they were going to all do like the Defenders, well, here we go. So yeah, Matt Murdock as Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Elektra, and Iron Fist. And so they said, Mike, if you should come join us. You should be the Punisher. Great, awesome. So I slapped together a Punisher costume, and there's what we came up with. All right, now moving into some more of my favorite costumes. Captain America. Classic. Again, this was a costume that I assembled. I didn't build it. I just bought all the different pieces, and I think it works pretty well together. So here I am with my New York Comic-Con cosplay group. Andy Danish, very famous voice actor, as well as Rob Moria. Sorry, Rob. I know I'm mispronouncing your name, but yeah, there you go. So Rob is playing Thanos, and then Sammy is playing Gamora. I am obviously Captain America, and then Andy Danish as more of the Tony Stark as opposed to an Iron Man. But yeah, we had a lot of fun at New York Con that year. Here, posing as Civil War kind of thing. It was really fun. Again, not a costume that I built, more of a costume that I assembled, but costumes assemble. There you go. Moving on to the Ghostbusters. This was, I think, the Ghostbusters cosplay. This was one of the earliest ones that I've ever done or been a part of. We were actually featured on the Today Show, and we won second place. I think this was back in 2007. Yeah, 2007. We were on the Today Show doing Ghostbusters cosplay. Not in this photo, but maybe in future iterations I'll pull some of the photos out and show you guys. But yeah, so we did. I've kind of been in this Ghostbusters cosplay group for a while now, since I guess 2007. Josh Hollifield, a very good friend of mine, he was the one that built the proton packs for all of us. And I built the costume, the flight suit costume myself, and all the individual pieces that go there. But I also kind of had an opportunity to kind of make it my own a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but my name tag says, it has my name on it, my actual name, Brown, on it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. I'm so glad that we had that opportunity. All right, next up is Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham. This version of Spider-Ham I created before Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out. The animated movie, Into the Spider-Verse. So I did the Spider-Ham cosplay before the movie came out. And in fact, when we were at San Diego Comic-Con, here, I'll show you. There you go. This is the San Diego cosplay group together. We all decided, hey, let's do a Spider-Verse cosplay. We knew the movie was coming out, but we didn't know any details about it. We knew it was an animated film, but we hadn't seen any pictures. There weren't any trailers out yet. And so we went and decided to do this. And the funny thing about this particular cosplay is that I think it was the first trailer for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse debuted at San Diego Comic-Con. So here we are. We'd already planned this. We have our costumes together, and the very first trailer that comes out for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse includes Spider-Ham in it. And here I am in the Spider-Ham costume, and everyone's like, oh, that's too good. So I kind of felt like it was a happy accident, but I kind of felt like a trendsetter in that regard. So this is definitely one of my more favorite cosplays. Guys, we have 2 more to go. Harvey Quinn, or also known as Harley Quinn. I did a Harley Quinn gender bender. This is my second most favorite. We have one more cosplay to go into, but this is a particular favorite of mine. First and foremost, it took me a long time to build this costume. This was a costume that I built. I built it all from scratch. I got some other clothing and some other pieces and paint. I got paint and I spray painted this whole costume. And the time that it took to do was painstaking. And when you put that much time and effort into building a costume, you love it. You love it. And apparently it got so much love and recognition and notoriety. This particular photo was taken on the showroom floor at San Diego Comic-Con by someone who worked for the Associated Press. And this particular photo made the rounds in a lot of different news publications on the internet. So, if you, I don't know if it's still going to be popular now, but if you Google Harley Quinn cosplay or, San Diego Comic-Con cosplay, maybe 2018, something like that. Was that 19 or was that last year? I honestly can't remember. Maybe it was last year, 2019. Try 2019. Google San Diego Comic-Con cosplay 2019. See what pops up. But anyway, this particular photo made the rounds to a lot of major news outlets, and I'm very, very proud of it. It took a long time to make. I think it worked really well. It's creepy. It's like I wanted it to be creepy, and it came out really creepy. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. All right, guys, now it's time for my the last cosplay, the last costume I've ever made. This is my favorite one that I've ever done. This took the longest to do, and that is Baxter Stockman, one of the villains from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, featured here in this particular photo on the left, we have my friend Andy Danish, famous voice actor. In the middle, we have Linda Moulton, who's she also a cosplayer, a very good friend of mine. We're on the sketch team together, sketch comedy team together. And then there's me. So Andy's playing obviously the Shredder. Linda is playing Old Hob from the comics. If you're familiar with the Ninja Turtle comics, one of the street level villains is Old Hob. He's kind of a half man, half cat character. And then there's me, Baxter Stockman, who's a half man, half fly. Very Jeff Goldblum, the Fly-esque, One of the reasons that this particular costume is one of my favorites. Yes, we got a lot of notoriety. Yes, we were interviewed by a lot of news outlets. And actually, here, let me show you some of these. So the first one, So here are the Screen Junkies. There's Hal Rudnick from the Screen Junkies. If you're familiar with like the Honest Trailers, or like the Screen Junkies show or movie fights, like Hal Rudnick is a very big name, prominent player in the Screen Junkies family. And so we got interviewed by Screen Junkies to be on their YouTube channel. And it was a huge honor for me because I've been, he actually tracked me down. He was chasing me on the showroom floor to like, hey, I want to talk to you, Baxter Stockman. That was really cool. And then, other news outlets, the local news, they did like this. You can see there's a woman right there filming us. And not only that, but we had... this isn't the best photo in the world, but it's one of my favorite photos because this was the line of press who wanted to interview us. Like there's a guy with his camera. There's, I'm up there at the front. You can see my big, huge fly wings, and I'm signing an NDA. I'm signing like the paper or like a release form saying, yes, I will appear on television, that whole thing. I love this because there was a whole line of people waiting to interview us. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, with this particular costume as Baxter Stockman, I had to figure out how to build this costume. Of course, you have like the shirt and the pants. Okay, whatever. The bow tie I made, I handcrafted the bow tie. That was all the easy stuff. The hard stuff is how do you do the arms? And once you figure out how to make the arms, how do you make them sustainable? Because they were heavy. Well, I mean, like it was foam. It was that, kind of foam stuff. But the texture was all something that I had to get right. I had to figure out how to do the wings. How am I going to do the detail work inside of the wings? This was all stuff that I had to figure out. And I was particularly pleased with how it turned out because I think it looks great. I think it looks amazing. And apparently other people thought it was amazing too. This costume doesn't exist anymore. Unfortunately, I had to trash it. I broke it apart. It was kind of falling apart. I held onto it for a little while. But anyway, yeah, this was, as you guys know, Ninja Turtles is always been one of my favorite IPs. And so just having the opportunity to play like a major character from the Ninja Turtles, or play a character, it was cosplay, whatever. Anyway, guys, these are some of my favorite costumes that I've done. Baxter Stockman, Harvey Quinn, Spider-Ham, the Ghostbusters, Captain America, Punisher, Cannonball, Walter White, Mr. Rogers, Bob Wiley, Gambit, and of course Bane. These are some of my favorite costumes that I've ever put together. But the question for you guys is, what costumes have you worn? What are some of your favorite costumes or cosplays over the year? Do you have photos? Actually, here, let me bring this up. Send your photos to me at, just email them at godofthemovies@gmail.com. If you have photos of your favorite cosplays, send me an email and we'll try to feature them on the show. Halloween is coming up, so let's set a date for Friday. So send me your photographs by Friday morning. Thursday night, Friday morning, send me your photographs at godofthemovies@gmail.com and let me know why this was your favorite costume that you've ever done. And we'll try to, let's see if we can make a segment out of this on Friday, being Halloween. Anyway, guys, this does it for Gotta Love Them Movies. Thanks for hanging out, for, chit-chatting, talking, and, being part of the conversation. And here's something that I totally forgot to do. It's now time to take your live questions.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
All right. Now we're just going to go in and take your live questions. We have one live question to address on the show today. And if you guys are watching, again, jump down to the comment section below and send me some questions. This particular question comes to a very good friend of mine, Robbie Spratt. He says, "Hi, Mike." "Hi, Robbie. Hope you're well." Robbie says, "Hi, Mike. I know you are a collector of movie toys and merchandise, but what are your thoughts on more subtle movie merchandising? I'm thinking of things like the watches and wardrobe in the James Bond movies, the custom boots and sunglasses from The Matrix. Have you ever bought something that you saw in a movie because you thought it was cool?" Ooh, great question, Robbie. I almost feel like that could have been an email question, but that being said, the live questions, this is perfect. Off the top of my head, I love that stuff. anytime that you have an opportunity to like let your nerd flag fly a little bit, so to speak, but it's subtle and it's in a way that people don't necessarily like you wouldn't necessarily see like a watch and think, oh, that's James Bond's watch, or oh, those are the sunglasses that Neo had in the Matrix, or whatever. But I love that stuff. I love that, you can still be a massive movie nerd in a big way and put it out there in public. But it's so subtle that, it's not in your face. It's not super flashy. I love that stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I have in my not just, my personal collection here, but like in my wardrobe or my goings about. I love like those types of patterns and ties, or sometimes in t-shirts. You look at it from the outside, but like from a distance, and it just looks like a normal button-down shirt, right? But then when you get close, you come to find out, oh, is that the carpet from The Shining? I don't know. Like I can't think of anything super obvious off the top of my head, but I do love that style of like putting your best nerd self out there, right? There's a lot of hoodies that they make now. There's a particular Boba Fett hoodie that has all the colors of that come on Boba Fett's uniform. But if you aren't familiar with Boba Fett, it just looks like a colorful hoodie. It just looks like really cool. It doesn't look like a super Star Warsy. It doesn't even look like a character per se. It just kind of looks like a colorful hoodie that, it's kind of fun. I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't own one. Me being me, I'm very much an in-your-face kind of person, right? That's my personality. And so I think a lot of my clothing and a lot of my outerwear, I mean, for heaven's sake, take my glasses. These are not character glasses. These aren't from anything in particular, but it's the kind of thing that like it's not typically what you'd see, right? I had been wearing like black horn rim glasses or frames for a long time, and then I saw these puppies and I thought, oh, that's a very different thing. I could probably pull that off, and huge pat on the back to myself. I get a lot of compliments on my glasses, and I like them. Not that it's from a particular IP, or from any IP for that matter. But I do like being a little bit more flashy, a little bit more flamboyant in my nerd flagging, if that's a term. But yeah, so question is for you, Robbie, do you own anything like that? And if you're not Robbie and you're watching this right now, what are some more of like the subtle things, subtle nerd flaggy types of outerwear that you guys have, or maybe like a watch, or here, this is you've all seen my Two-Face coin. Again, so like you look at it and you think, oh, it's just a coin, and the backside's all kind of like scratched up a little bit. Oh, that's interesting, kind of cool. You wouldn't look at this and say, ooh, that's from Two-Face, a Batman villain coin, or whatever. Also in that same vein, they're in the closet. I'm not going to dig them out right now. Maybe on a future show I'll show you. But one of the things that I have been collecting, and it's a little bit more valuable, which is why it's not really on display. I don't really have a great place to display them. But I have been collecting like pure silver coins. And not just coins, but like anything of like a more artistic value. How do you describe this? So I have a poster. It's like, it's like the sheet. It's the size of a sheet of paper, right? 8.5 by 11, or like 8 by 10 or something like that. And it is 1 ounce of silver that has been flattened out to an 8 by 10 like page, and it's been screen printed with the poster of the Avengers Endgame main poster on it, right? So it's something, it's a product that's of high value, high quality, and it's only going to go up in value. And it's been laminated and like certified and like kept in like a little hermetically sealed case kind of thing. but it is 1 ounce of silver. And when you look at it, it's like, oh, it's just a piece of paper that like a movie poster. But you pick it up and you realize, oh, this actually has some weight to it. Like it's 1 ounce, but it weighs more than a sheet of paper does, right? So it's that kind of stuff that, I like collecting more things that have intrinsic value to them, and also things that have an artistic value to them. I mean, like, you've seen my love for Pop Toys. I love Pop Toys. They're wonderful. They're awesome. They're also cheap. I have a few Pop Toys that are actually worth money. But for the most part, Pop Toys are cheap. I like the high art. I like high artistic value. We have a poster in the living room. It's a print, but it's the coolest thing. It's of Gremlins. Maybe I'll find a photo of it online and I'll show it to you guys. It's just like a normal average scene from Gremlins, but inside of the shop for the opening shop from Gremlins. In this poster, there's so many Easter eggs of like from other movies, and I'll find it. I'll share it with you guys maybe tomorrow. It's so cool. It's fantastic. I love it so much. But yeah, big question is for you guys. What do you have in your collection? Do you collect like more flamboyant, in your face kind of things? Or do you tend to be a little bit more reserved when letting your nerd flag fly? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, that officially does it for today's episode of Gotta Love Them Movies. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Thanks for, listening to me ramble on about all of our topics today. And if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share, because that is exactly what Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight would want you to do. So true. So true. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being part of the conversation. I'm Mike Brown, your host of Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news. You guys, we live in a weird world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes they clash. So if you have an opportunity to infuse a little bit of kindness into the world today, I highly recommend that you take that opportunity. And please, as always, speak kind words to each other. All right, guys, until tomorrow, have a great night.